Welcome to San Marcos Makes YouTube channel where we make things. Today we are making a kitchen scoop. This comes from inspiration from the book by David Picciuto, Make Your Own Kitchen Tools. So I've made already a couple things in the book. This is the third item I've made from the book. We are going to start with this piece of Purple Heart that I've glued up to make a nice size block so we can cut this out. We will then use a bandsaw to make a U, which then becomes our scoop after it's glued together, till we ultimately get, after we shape it, to become the scoop. Let's get started, show you everything you need to know. Alright, so the items we're going to need some wood glue, we're going to need clamps, we're going to need to use a bandsaw. Very important here with the bandsaw, you're going to need at least a 10-inch bandsaw to be able to accomplish this. And a 3/16 blade. I was unable to get a 3/16 blade, so I did go up to 1/4 inch. So I was able to successfully do this with a 1/4 inch blade, but at the maximum size 1/4 inch. Need pencil, and then some type of sander to be able to sand this. But that's really all the tools you're going to need. As far as the wood, you may not be able to get a big chunk of hardwood, and I didn't. I had some Purple Heart, and I actually glued these up and to get them to the finished size that I wanted. At the very minimum size wise, you're going to need 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 by 4.5 inch. I'm going to this time go just a little bit larger, so I'm trying to get a little bit larger of a scoop, but I couldn't go much more than 4.5 size because it wouldn't fit in my bandsaw. If you have a taller bandsaw, I have a 10-inch Rikon, so my max cut is about 5 inches, so that's where I'm going to stick to, but definitely going to have a bandsaw for this one. Alright, so the next step is we've got to make this U. So I'm going to take my piece and we're going to draw out this U. So I'm going to start to give myself make it a little bit easier. I'm going to make me a mark here, make me a mark somewhere in the ballpark of the same, and we can pull out the measurements so that they're equal. And let's just call it right about 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch, I'm good with that. Put the line down, and we do want to just go ahead and all the way across. Same thing on the other side. All right, and then we will take it on the other side. Give myself just a little bit of wiggle room. Alright, so if you can see those lines, now you're going to need to take something, been using a coin to make those corners. We don't want to cut that totally out, but we got to be able to make those corners. So I'm just going to use coin, works very good. You're only making one cut, so feel free to kind of freehand it. So that we make a U, but we will be using all of this, so there's no way to make relief cuts. It's got to be one solid motion. all the way around using the bandsaw. All right, so let's get it cut out. All right, so the important thing here is to be equal, stay right on your line, and come out to the other side. Go very slow. So Purple Heart is obviously a very hard wood. I'm going to be putting my bandsaw to its max, but I have faith in my Rikon that we can make this corner. But just take the time. Take slow, slow, slow. So let's get started. Alright, so just pulling off the bandsaw, this is what it should look like. So if you pull it back, and what we're hoping is a really tight, let's see if you can see down in here. When we pull this out, we want this to be pretty tight. There's going to be a little bit of gap. We'll have to fix that with some wood glue, but should not be that big of an issue. Just from doing this a couple times, I've learned a couple things. So it's really hard to get this sanded. So this is a good time to go ahead and get this sanded. And let me show you the reason. So here's another one I've already done. And to get in here to do kind of a finish sanding, even in here, is a little bit difficult. You're definitely going to have to be able to use your hand unless you have like a spindle sander or something like that. So work on that. We'll go ahead and get this part sanded. This side is actually sanded, so I may can use that. And you can play with which way. See, that does not fit right, so I don't want to go that route. So let's see, let's get it facing the right way. So I could go this route and it's already sanded, but look at the gap, kind of a little bit more. I think it's better if we go this route. So I will want to go ahead and sand this down. So I'll go ahead and sand that down off camera. I'm just going to sand this face part, and then we'll do some sanding in here just a little bit. If you had a spindle sander, you could definitely get in here and get this where you wanted, grit wise, but I don't have a spindle sander, so we'll do it the easy way. All right, so you want to slide this out, and you want to really look down inside and really try to see which way is going to be, and you'll see that there's going to be some gaps, and we'll try to close that in a little bit with clamps. This Purple Heart's not going to move a ton, but we'll try to take that up. If not, we can fill this in with a little bit of wood filler. But you want to basically pull it out so you have about a 1-inch overlap. And we're going to put some glue in there. We'll glue it up. So let's do that. So just get in here, get your glue all around. Clean up what you can now. So once you got it where you like it, put some clamps on it. Let's just go this route for right now. I put a lot of pressure because I'm trying to close these gaps up as much as I can. And then we'll throw another quick clamp on for the bottom. really squeeze that down. I will sometimes put another clamp. Let's see if I can get it in there. Yeah, it'll work. Well, no, it won't. Let's see if we can go this direction. Yeah, we'll be able to get it here. Put one right in the middle. After the glue up, look down in, make sure there is no gaps or best possible. And then just kind of clean up your glue a little bit, especially down in the corner with the damp rag. Try to get it as much as that glue squeeze out as you can. Just make life easier when you clean up later. So we'll let this dry for a few hours and then we'll get this thing finished up. All right, so let's get these clamps off and see how it came out. So it looks pretty good. I'm very happy with it. You can see there's very little in here. I can see just a little bit of light, which we'll have to get some glue filler if we even want to mess with that. All depends on what you're going to be scooping. You're not going to be scooping liquid, so it doesn't have to be watertight. All right, so now let's start shaping the handle. All right, so we're going to freehand this. We need to first think about what the feel of the handle. So since I've made this a little bigger than I normally would, I'm going to bring this down just a little bit more than maybe you, but you want what's going to be ergonomically for the hand. So I would say somewhere right around 1 inch. So we want to take this completely all the way to the stop, to the other piece of wood. Somewhere in that range. Just freehand is fine because you're going to shape this when it comes to the sanding. So just get it in the ballpark. Handle on the bandsaw will not be that important. We also now need to curve it. So we want to think about where this is in relationship to here. So I'm just going to eye it and put a line because I do not want this to go any further than there. So that is my maximum distance that I want to go into because I want to leave a little bit of room so I don't create a big hole. But I want to cut this out, but kind of a rounder shape. So I have room for the scoop. Room for the scoop. Symmetrically as possible. I'm fine with that. This, whatever is going to look good to you. So we're going to be cutting off this and this with a bandsaw. So it's the makings of the handle. So again, remove this and remove this. Let's do that. All right, so you can see on the bandsaw, we'll remove this side to make that scoop. So, little profile shot. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is kind of the same thing, but we're gonna develop the handle for the length. So we'll mark that up, cut that out on the bandsaw. All right, so if this is the top or the open side, you want your handle up here. So about, we'll start with about an inch. And you want to take this, go across, and then at some point, start making your cut to come out. Just make sure you do not come past this line right here. That's where the wood escapes. So give yourself plenty of room for strength. So somewhere around here, this will all be cut out. So if you want to play where you do the cutting, that's fine. Give yourself plenty of room. Something maybe a little less sloping is I think what I'm going to end up doing, or a little more sloping. I think I like that. But this is freehand. Whatever is going to work, wherever you think. And then we're going to take the bandsaw and we're going to cut this part out. So let's do that. I don't know if y'all saw that the first time I did it, so I'm still learning on the bandsaw. So when I first started, I guess it's similar to kind of a kickback because I did not, there's not enough leverage and there's a gap right here. It wanted to kick my piece down. So the first time I decided I'm going to cut it this way, but if I cut it this way, my angles are going to be off. So I went ahead and cut it that way and get it out. The second time I cut it, I'm able to have a little bit more leverage down here so I could hold it down, push down, and then I make my cut all the way around. So the first time I just did not have the leverage because I'm back here, the plate's not long enough, and so it wanted to wobble and it pushed my piece down. So I guess the tip, leave it here, cut. On the second time, then I have enough room because it's not cutting as much wood, and then you can finish this off. I'm still gonna go ahead and do this a little bit more, cut this and shave this line because I think that'll be closer to my finished piece. So I'll go ahead and get all that done. All we're basically doing here is we're gonna create a line basically where the wood starts, and we want to end up here. So we're gonna take off this part of the wood. So again, just kind of freehand it, and you may cut it out and want more, some may want less. Whatever you feel like is going to be, whatever is going to look best to you. So I'm going to cut, I'm going to remove all of this, and then we'll kind of see what it looks like after that. So that is the basics of the scooper. Now it is the time for sanding. So where we're going to focus on sanding. First, the easy part is just going to be breaking some of these edges, making them smooth. Like you can see a little bit of a rough spot there, maybe a little bit on the bandsaw. So we want to make sure those are good and round, symmetrical on both sides. We want to get this smooth. Maybe beat round these corners. Same thing here. We want to round these corners, round these corners. Everywhere there's a bend you want to round. And then work the handle. Get this smooth. Work a little bit into here. So that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to be using some Howard's cutting board oil. I'm just going to put it in a couple coats, let it set. We'll kind of buff it out, but just what you would use for a cutting board would work absolutely fine on this. So let's see what it looks like. So I'm just going to put a little bit on, rub it in, and we'll see what this Purple Heart is going to look like. I don't know, what do y'all think about Purple Heart? Put it down in the comments. I really thought I'd like it. The more I use it, it's just so daggum hard. I don't know, I just don't know. I think it has its place, but still like my walnut. It's really weird. I don't know what caused that. I tried sanding it out and it keeps staying in there. That's not a seam or nothing. So I don't know what that is. The more I sand, the more it gets there. So I don't know what's causing it. But I'm just gonna have to deal with it. So I'm kind of rubbing this out, but really I should probably put a little bit thick of a coat. So I'm gonna start using my hands. I think it does a good job in that initial, and then we can kind of wipe it off. But get a good heavy coat all over this thing. It's gonna take definitely a little bit more in the inside of the scoop, just because it's not as finished. But just get it in. It's gonna soak up pretty nice. And then we'll wipe it off after it sets for about 30 minutes. So let's just Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Very quickly, these are the 3 that I've so far made. Ooh, you've already seen, but so different sizes, different types of wood. I think I still like my walnut one best, but the little larger Purple Heart definitely has its place. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks.